The cleanup and recovery from Hurricane Milton will continue in Florida this weekend after the deadly storm, including tornadoes, ripped through the state. And as both local authorities and the federal government try to help, there is a wave of misinformation making things a little bit more complicated. Joining me is NBC's Kristen Welker, moderator of Meet the Press. Kristen, it's always good to see you. And we saw this week how Milton and also shortly before it, Helene, put a spotlight on the federal disaster response and the problem of misinformation. What are we learning in the aftermath, and what does the Biden administration feel it could do better here?
Well, President Biden just spoke about the hurricane response, spoke out against misinformation. In fact, Faith, let me read you a little bit of what he had to say. He said it has to stop. The thing that bothers me the most is there's a lot of people who get caught up in these crises who are basically alone. They just get scared to death. I think those who have been spreading these lies to undermine the opposition are going to pay a price for it. Of course, that's a not so subtle jab at former President Trump. Of course, Trump has been falsely claiming that FEMA funds for disaster relief have been redirected to aid with dealing with migrants. That's just not the case. FEMA has said that that's patently false, as has the White House. There's no response, though, that if you talk to some folks who have been in the storm zone in places like North Carolina and parts of Florida, they do want more help and they want it to get there more quickly. So zooming out, I think that hurricane responses are always in focus, particularly as we get closer to an election. So undoubtedly, people will be judging the Biden administration for its response, not to mention the fact that people are actually dealing with voter registration deadlines in the state of North Carolina, for example. And so how might this impact people's ability to vote? That's a big concern as well, Faith.
Absolutely. And speaking of voting, a big week here in Georgia as early voting begins on Tuesday. We know that you all will have a brand new NBC News poll on Meet the Press coming up on Sunday. And it comes as we are seeing former President Trump campaign in blue states and former President Obama also on the campaign trail for Kamala Harris. So what do you make of the latest twist in this race to the White House?
Your state of Georgia, Faith. Look, Democrats are making a real run for Georgia, even though Trump has a narrow lead in the polls. Could they try to win that state back? We'll have to see how it all plays out. But conventional thinking is without Raphael Warnock on the ballot, it's hard for Democrats to get that same type of turnout as we have seen in past elections where they have fared very well. So we'll have to see how it all comes together. But bottom line, it is going to be a very busy next couple of weeks in those critical battleground states, Faith.
Absolutely. Bill Clinton also coming here on Sunday. So very busy indeed. Kristen, Meet the Press airs Sunday morning at 10, and then we'll see you at 11 for the Georgia vote. Kristen, thank you so much.